Imagine waking up one morning, you open your eyes, you expect everything is just going to be what it always is. I'm going to see everything I want to see. And you see a bunch of floaters in one eye and you think, oh, this is no big deal, it'll go away. But then like a week goes on, it's not getting better. And then suddenly you notice, oh shoot, I don't see very well over here on one side. So you go to an eye doctor and they tell you, I'm sorry, you have a retinal detachment. What's a retinal detachment? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Zach Oki. I'm a retina specialist here in Irvine, California. Let's talk about retinal detachments. This is a big deal for a lot of people. It's a blinding condition, and so it can be life-changing. To me, it's important to understand what causes them, who's at risk, and also how do we fix it. Well, what causes a retinal detachment? If you just go to Google and punch in the words retinal detachment, what you'll read about is the most common form, which is when the retina develops a rip. If the retina has a tear in it, then all the fluid within the eye goes into the tear and then eventually forces the retina to separate away from the back wall of the eye, and that can lead to blindness. So really the question about what causes retinal detachment stems from the question of what causes a retinal tear. Well, what causes a retinal tear is a process called a posterior vitreous detachment. In other words, the gel, the vitreous gel inside of the eye, when we're born, it's glued to the retina, it's glued to the lens in the front of the eye, and then over the course of time, the gel changes, it separates away from the retina, and as it does so, if it's tightly glued to certain parts of the retina, then it can pull on it and create a tear. Now, why did that happen? Well, the gel inside of the eye, it's made mostly out of water, but about 2 or 3% of it is made out of connective tissue proteins, things like collagen, elastin, chondroitin, sulfate, fibrillin, opticin, and so on. And these connective tissue proteins, they're everywhere. And if you talk to anyone who's had a couple decades under their belt like me, I'm 42, things change over the course of time. People get wrinkles, the skin gets a little saggy, and so on and so forth. This reflects connective tissue changing inside of the body over time. And the gel, being made of very similar stuff, is no exception to that process. As it ages, then the gel starts to separate away from the retina. It doesn't quite fully separate, but it starts to pull a little bit until finally one day the whole thing just decides to separate. And as it does so, it can pull on the retina and, like I said, create a retinal tear. Now, when someone develops a retinal tear at first, or at least even just the gel separating away from the retina, what people experience are two things: flashes